I've shown you how to save files, I've shown you how to deal with assets, I've shown you how to set up your After Effects compositions. We're just gonna go through a mock-up of what it would look like to export this video. Some clients only want MOVs, uncompressed, ProRes MOV files. That's not necessary for mostly what we do because we mainly do online videos and the stuff that goes on YouTube. If you're doing stuff that goes like to a movie, like a film festival gets screened out there, then you might want to export things as MOV files just to make sure they're a bit higher quality. Apple ProRes, HQ, all that kind of stuff. But since we're dealing with YouTube videos, we'll just deal with the smaller file size. So I would just rather export this one as an MP4 that is compressed at H.264. That's gonna give us a smaller file size. We don't need anything special about it. We just need to make sure it gets exported that way. So I'm gonna show you what that would look like. Number one, you gotta click into your timeline so that way you see that blue rectangle outline, because if you didn't have that selected, it's not gonna do it. You go to export, and you're gonna add to media encoder queue. It's gonna open up media encoder, and we're gonna export our file there. Gotta wait for a little bit while this loads up. Okay, I already have a preset for this, but I'll walk you through the preset. When you open up the window here, obviously you want export audio and video. You wanna make sure that this is pointed into the right place, so you're gonna click into the file name. And right now it would export into the projects folder. I don't want it in the project folder. I want it in the 9100 folder. Again, you don't want it in the export folder. The export folder is for the Premiere file export. That's going to be the final viewable version of the whole episode that client will look at or that you upload to your distributor or whatever. Go to assets, 9100. We're going to export it here. Boom, you point it to the right place. Under video file settings, you can do render at maximum depth. That is fine. Also, again, not necessary most of the time, but sure, you can do it. Sometimes it crashes your computer, so if it crashes your computer, just turn it off. Target bitrate. Bitrate is basically quality. It's how much data is being pushed through the video every second. If you have a low bitrate, that's going to be very low quality. If you have a high bitrate, it's going to be high quality. We just go for 50. It's the maximum for an After Effects composition, so we'll go for 50. Audio should be fine. All this stuff, AAC is fine. 48,000 samples is fine. Stereo, yes, we probably want that. All this looks good, but the main thing I just want to show you was the bitrate. You want to make sure your bitrate is 50 for an After Effects composition that's going to be tied together in Premiere. We would change that bitrate for other exports of like perhaps the final episode or a draft version of this kind of stuff, but for this, keep it at 50. Okay, everything looks good, everything looks good. Then you hit the play button and it will export, and hopefully my computer doesn't crap out. There you go. Looking okay. Looking okay, it's done, that's good. In some circumstances, we would want a video file that has transparency. Kind of like how a PNG has transparency. You can whip that on top of an image. You won't see a white background. You'll just see the asset with a transparent background. Sometimes we have to do the same thing with video, and I'll show you an example of one of those kind of instances. What I'll do is I will have the fill will be the blue background, and we will make a giant circle. Turn off the stroke. Background. Turn this shit off. Ellipse, path, size. Start at 0, so that way there's nothing on the screen. And then it will expand to fill up the entire screen. Frame velocity, 65, 65. And so the video will end up looking like this. So there's a bit of like a transition. And then during these frames here, this black area should actually be transparent. That's what we're aiming for. If you export that as an MP4 at H.264 compression, that will not carry any transparency data. It won't be transparent. It will be a black background that you won't be able to see through. So in order to get that transparent background, we want to export as in the render queue, which is going to be internal to After Effects. We're going to make it a, not H.264, we're gonna pick QuickTime. It's gonna be an MOV file. And then we're gonna wanna make sure the format, the video codec is animation, because if you picked anything else, that's not gonna be that, I don't believe. Animation. and then RGB plus alpha. Alpha layer is what it means to have a transparency. Basically, alpha is that which you can actually see. Everything else is not alpha, and you don't want to see it, it's transparent. So we're going to be exporting the RGB, which is color data, plus the alpha layer, which is the data that tells the computer to say, hey, there are pixels that exist here, but not here. RGB plus alpha, animation codec, and then audio output can be auto. If there is no audio, it won't export audio, but if there is, it will. That's fine. I have a setting for this already, just QuickTime alpha plus RGB auto, it's already there. We want to point it to the right place. So again, we're going to go to the assets, 9000, 9100, save it here, and then we'll hit the render button, and we'll see it in live, live time, exporting. It'll give us a ding at the end normally. Boom. And it'll now be there. So now we have the two files. So those are our two ways of exporting our After Effects compositions.